Alrighty. It's a little showtime time. There's no ad. I don't know where ad is. I have no idea where ad is. But okay, I might lie a little. I know where ad is. He's very far, far, far away. So it looks like I'm just going to be doing the show tonight myself. Ed's not here. He's out and about gallivanting the world as he does. But that's okay. I don't mind. I really don't mind. Um, but yeah, so there's no intro music, no nothing like that. So we're all good. But I will say this much: we're gonna do a little bit of chat on the constitutional challenge that happened on when was that? Mm, about a week ago in North Huron. It was interesting. So, municipalities have taken a real tyrannical approach and have decided that they're going to be straight up communist dictators and have chosen to um, I don't know, chosen to let's see, uh, think of themselves as Kim Jong Un. They're going to tell you when you can or cannot. Uh, yeah, more tyrannical as Shem, but trying to tell you that you cannot record a public meeting, which is just ridiculous. In North Huron, North Huron. There's an election right now, as there is everywhere else. Oh yeah, cheersers, eh? Oh, it's my bad hand. Oh, my hand. Oh, are you feeling sorry for me yet? Okay, cheers. Hashem, I can't go this way or this way. That's out the window. No, Ed. So, as I was saying, they've taken the approach that you cannot record, which is not true. If you get even the trespasses are unlawful, they're unconstitutional. They're given flat out 6 month trespasses. They're doing crazy stuff. If you get trespass at a council meeting, you can only be trespassed for 24 hours. These people are like so arrogant, stupid. It's literally mind blowing. So North Huron's lawyer. So the challenge is to the bylaw and the bylaw's constitutionality. And all North Huron could do was get stuck on what a certain somebody who brought the challenge forward, the two people, but one in particular who brought the challenge forward, their online activities. And because they have signings that say fuck Carney, fuck Trudeau, etc., etc. That's all protected content. There's like so many cases out there. I don't know if it's an activist lawyer, but whatever. I do know though this judge is extremely experienced. I just hope he's experienced in the Constitution. He's a very, very experienced judge. Uh, I liked him actually when just by I hear a different conversation when judges are talking to other lawyers. The conversation that you will not pick up, I pick it up because, well, my background. Anyways, so um, it's very interesting how this went, and all that North Huron kept harping about was the behavior of this individual online, which is nothing to do with town council, nothing to do with anything. It's that complaint in itself would be unconstitutional, as it's infringing on this person's free speech. And, all over recording, like this got downright violent. Okay, it came down to violence of the deputy reeve, Kevin Faulkner, who sexually assaulted a 70-year-old man, grabbed him by the coolions, and you know, and the old guy just put him in a headlock and laid him down nicely. It's now recently surfaced. There's another video because this deputy reeve said so many fallacies. It's not even funny. He said that once he was on the ground, they continued to beat him and stuff, which never happened. Uh, their video recently just surfaced that he got up and he tried to go after the individual, not the old guy, but the other individual, ran towards him, and he pulled one of those cartoon moves where their heads are too big because they swell so much because they're power drunk, and then they weigh so much and their head forward and they lose balance, and he just went down and he ate shit. And I mean, he ate it head first right on the pavement, and says it says that he was beaten while he was on the ground. No evidence of that. The videos show a complete different scenario. And this guy, believe it or not, people, if there's anybody in North Huron, Wingham, Kinloss, Blythe, surrounding area, ever see this guy run for office, which again, he's trying to, believe it or not, don't vote for tyrants like that. This is not the first time he has assaulted one of his constituents. There's another video shows him assaulting somebody else inside council chambers. So this is a violent individual who I believe suffers of a mental illness of some sort. I don't know, it could be dementia. When people get dementia, they become violent. So it could be one of those, but I do suspect it's a mental illness of some sort that he's suffering from. It's undiagnosed. And who knows, maybe it is diagnosed. We don't know. We don't have his medical files, so we haven't been able to look at that. But don't do it, people. When you get tyrants in office that are communists, never vote them in, never elect them in. You know what you're going to get. And the worst thing about North Huron is they're completely run by staff. These elected idiots are just that, elected idiots. They do nothing. Whatever staff tells them, you should watch their fucking meetings. It's incredible to watch one of these meetings, and they're always asking staff what they're supposed to do. Even Paul Heffer at the time, who was the reeve, he resigned, but he was continuously asking what he's supposed to do. These people have no idea. You know what, Hashem? I've had just about enough of this show. No, Ed, I'm leaving. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, so this is got you. So this is this is ridiculous. And at the end of this court case that was going on, um, yeah, I was dumbfounded. Okay, I was completely, literally dumbfounded because the municipality's lawyer had the audacity to try to claim that our charter rights don't apply in council chambers because they were comparing it to a courtroom and kept saying, just like a courtroom, you can't record. Just like a courtroom, you can't this. Courtroom, you can't that. Can you believe the weak argument? Yeah, Hashem, again, I don't know if it's an activist lawyer. I can't even remember what the hell the lawyer's name was, but horrible, horrible arguments that I've ever heard in my life. And, this has got nothing to do with the bylaw. It's all about the bylaw, the procedural bylaw being unconstitutional. That's the challenge. And they just made it all about Never mind, they already infringed on your freedom of expression to be able to film a meeting. But now they've gone and violated your freedom of expression a second time by doing unconstitutional searches on Facebook and everything else without a warrant and trying to silence this person. It's crazy. Anyways, that's the Coles notes of this kind of garbage. It was just a quick, I don't know. But the judge said he's got a lot to think about. And to me, it's pretty narrow once he understands. Well, he's going to already understand. I shouldn't even say that. But he's going to have to do a lot of digging if he's going to try to make it work for the municipality. And I'll tell you this much. It's been my experience through all the constitutional challenges I've been involved in. The Superior Court, the lower courts, for some reason, almost always rule against it. Almost always. And it always has to get appealed to the Ontario Court of Appeals, where it gets finally the correct verdict. And, as far as I know, the higher case laws were being used. So I don't understand what these guys think, that, they're above the law. They're above, and I say above the law because the Constitution is the highest law there is in Canada. And municipalities are bottom feeders. They eat the shit off the bottom. They're the lowest. They can't infringe on provincial. They can't infringe on federal. And they sure as hell cannot infringe on the Charter or the Constitution of Canada. So this is insane what these people, what kind of insane arguments they try to come up with at the council chambers is a courtroom, basically. Here's the other thing that I find rather disturbing. Any other municipality I've been to, before the main public meeting starts, they always have like 5-10 minutes something at the beginning where they will let anybody in the town come up and speak about anything, any issues that need to be addressed, anything. And you don't have to make no application. You should never have to. This stuff where they force people to put their speech out first, that's unconstitutional, by the way. That's controlled government speech. And I am dumbfounded. And I cannot believe that nobody has even challenged that itself. It needs to be challenged. So, well, they do, Hashem. They actually get quite a bit of scrutiny, actually, because they're the most tyrannical. They're the ones that push the agendas to the extreme. And, these people just want the paycheck. They don't want to do the work. So whatever staff tells them, they do. And that's not what staff is for. Staff does not run the town. They're not elected. The elected do. The elected is higher than the staff. So staff needs to learn the role. I've known mayors, I've known councillors, and I've been told by a lot of them that staff says if you don't do something, they're going to sue them. And that's an absolute no. Let them sue you. Let them sue you. You sue them, you countersue them, and you bring a constitutional challenge. Remember, the Municipal Act, I believe it's Section 9, recognizes them as a natural person, and they have no more power than you or I. But not only that, the Constitution also applies to them. So when you have staff whose government trying to infringe on the elected, that's an instant constitutional issue. Staff is there to bring things forward, and if there's any interest, and if guys can't figure it out. Hi, Donna. They are, like you, if you've attended municipal meetings, you'll hear them. If they're not clear on a bylaw or something and they need some more information, you'll always hear them. They'll refer it back to staff. That's all that staff is there for, to get the information. It's the elected's job to actually read that information, understand it, learn it. And that's called doing your due diligence. So if you're going to run for these positions, you best make sure you got your shit screwed on right, because you're going to end up in a lot of lawsuits. And here's another fun fact. If there's municipalities already being sued and you get elected, guess what? You're now in the lawsuit. So it's pretty funny. Um, Ed was supposed to be on, but I don't know where Ed is. He's like, well, I know where he is, but I don't know why he's not on here. He didn't tell me he wasn't coming on, so he pulled a fast one on me. You were here earlier. I quit and I walked off the camera. He got me so angry, but it's okay. I love Ed, so I forgive him. And that's for Hashem to do a highlight reel. Hashem loves doing highlight reels. So now, so we're gonna have to see what goes down. If you guys are elected and you have some staff idiot trying to say, uh, you know, make this procedural bylaw where you ban filming meetings, don't do it. Don't do it. There's tons and tons of case law saying that this is unconstitutional. So don't do it. These guys are idiots. These are staff. They know nothing. They know nothing about law. They know nothing. So just don't do it. And it's your job, and it's in the counselor's guide and everything else. You are to know, learn, and understand a few pieces of legislation, and the Constitution being one of them. There's a real fun fact for you. So make sure you read your counselor's guides, because you should be. Again, due diligence. So, anyways, so I'm going to creep away slowly from this constitutional stuff on the town, but that's about the short and long of it. And yeah, Brenda, Ed's out getting hammered. He's like getting totally shit faced right now. That's probably why he's not. He's probably already shit faced. So, you know, that's Ed for you. But I don't blame him. He's in a nice place right now. I don't know if it's cold or hot, but they do have beer fountains in all their parks. So, you know, you just walk through the store, you buy a glass from any store that surrounds the park, and you take that glass and you walk up to a beer fountain and pick any beer you want. You just drink your beer. That's it. You just have to buy the glass. So it's a good chance you might be shit faced out in the park somewhere, just, you know, laying there out like a light. We don't know. Bubba's probably having one with him because Bubba loves beers. Bubba had beer with me. So, that aside now, let's move to something else. So, I've done a couple of quick videos, but I want to share something that happened today. I've been pressuring, you know, the politicians, Ford, Calandra, Goofsterhoff. Well, today it was Fred Davies' turn, and he pissed me off. It just pissed me off because I seen about that pedo tonight or today with the 3 kids, and I seen Davies put this up again. You know, this is kind of thing like a post of it always happening again and again in Niagara, like he's shocked or some shit. Let me tell you, I was the first one to make a post on that post, or a comment, sorry. And I gave him a good comment. I told him that I was there, which I was. There was a scheduled meeting, and then suddenly he couldn't be there apparently. And yeah, well, it's not really new, Hashem, because I'd met up with his staff. Imagine that staff. What did we just finish talking about, staff? Yeah, exactly. So this degenerate piece of excrement was supposed to meet with myself and I believe Monique and I can't remember who else. But we were bringing forward our concerns for Robert Land since the PC party's not doing anything. And, all of these pedophiles in schools and private schools and everything else. So I can't remember what the hell his staff, the guy was, what his name was. So he was talking with us. We gave him shitloads of stuff about the private schools and all the crap that was going on. And, me being a survivor. And I actually, here's the funny thing. I put him right on notice right away. And I said, don't think I'm going to be pushing or campaigning for you. You're going to do something, then do something. If you can't do anything, don't use me. Because all these politicians, they don't care, all right? These guys who will re-victimize everyone. They don't care. They'll take a survivor and re-victimize them all they can just to gain popularity. Here's the short and the long of it. Fred Davies has absolutely zero power whatsoever to make any change to the registry or anywhere else. So the only reason why people are going to him is because conservative, they're trying to get elected in, because you'll always hear people saying, oh, it's the lesser of two evils. Well, no, evil is just that, evil. There is no lesser, and there's no more, no worse, no less. It's evil, and that's what they all are. They're evil. And so I gave them all this stuff, all my information. I told them my story, some of it. Told them a bunch of stories of the other guys, all sorts of stuff. And I said, can you even do anything since education's usually provincial? He says, yeah, it is, but no, we have some power to do some stuff. So I said, oh, okay, that's the case, cool. Well, that was it. Never heard of anything ever again. That was it. And I personally believe that it's because I told them flat out that I won't be used as a campaign tool. So I'm not going to go out there and scream Pierre and all this other shit. Simply because the conservatives have had a hand in this pedophile shit. And I'm talking the Conservative Party of Canada. They were tied with Robert Land Academy. They made a pilot project to have that as an alternative to jail leaving. That went horribly wrong because that pilot project was ended when students started dying during that time. So that was the end of that. But they all loved going to Robert Land. All of them, the PC party, the Conservative Party, they'd all go there, pat themselves on the back, do the old chest pounding, we're so great. They would award themselves. Imagine this, guys. Imagine. This is supposed to be the annual general inspection. They turn it into a gala night and they give themselves awards, the PC party. And Tim Hudak, the former leader of the PC party, was the head of the school when we shut it down in 2025. They've all been there. Elliott, the House Speaker, you name it. The list goes on and on. Gusterhoff was even there. So they all have been there, every one of them. And so they used it as a PC party recruiting ground or a Conservative Party recruiting ground. And so what ends up happening here is today on that post, I made the comment and I called him a liar, which he is. He's a flat out liar. They're all fucking liars. Neither one of them got back to me. You even seen the video of Ford telling me to email him. Fucking lied. I gave him an email, didn't respond, the usual. So I'm going to catch him Saturday, guys. Saturday, if you're in Listowel, 12:30, be there if you can make it. I'm going to be putting Ford on notice, so this is going to be a good one. So these guys, they all lie. Davies done nothing. And the only thing that you've seen the Conservative Party of Canada try to capitalize on is, I'm going to suspend your constitutional rights if we form office. We form government, we're going to suspend your constitutional rights. So that way we can keep you in jail with no bail and you won't get a hearing. And that would go for 5 years if they wanted to. And then after that 5 years, they can renew that for 5 years again. So can you imagine what's going to go on? Hello, Maria. So this is like, this is government literally causing this problem we have now, because it's all been the Conservative Party, it's been the PC Party, it's been the Liberals, it's been all of those guys over and over and over all through the years, making the laws more lax and more lax and more lax. And now we got a fucking pedophile pandemic going on in the Niagara region and clear across Canada. But extremely bad in the Niagara region. It's like there's a big sign pointing pedophiles come here. And that's because people like Doug Ford like taking your children and having them on a silver platter to be served up to predators in private schools. They have all of this stuff going on. Ed's probably hammered in the park somewhere, Maria. I don't know where he is. So this is what they've done. This is what they've done, and they have no interest. So after I let Mr. Davies have it and called him out for the liar that he is, who never reached out back to me or anything, and then I posted some pictures of me with my dead friend's gravestone, out front of the courthouse, and some other things. And what happens? Suddenly, one of these trolls appear, and I know who the trolls are for the Conservative Party again. And once I called them out on it, suddenly the comments were all gone, and then all of a sudden, the whole post about the whole thing was gone. He deleted it all, deleted everything. Because that's the kind of coward Mr. Fred Davies is. He freaking sees that we will not be used as campaign tools for their party, and we refuse to be re-victimized by a piece of political excrement such as him. A coward, no spine, and an all-out fucking liar that he is. And, he just wiped it out. The irony of it all was then he goes and posts a post showing that, the legislation, what is it, C-18, that C-18, yeah, that so we can't share the news articles. And he makes the post of this, and he says, oh, look at the censorship of the Liberal government, blah, blah, blah. Censorship of the Liberal government. So I took a screenshot of that naturally, right? And I also then shared the screenshot where he deleted his post. So who's censoring who? So you got this degenerate Pierre Poilievre and Mr. Leader there, and then you got this piece of excrement, Fred Davies, going on about censorship. But he's doing the same fucking thing. He's censoring like crazy. Hi, Kelly. And, he just wipes the whole entire post out. Guess what, Fred? I always screen capture everything, especially when I'm communicating with dirtbags like you and your bureaucrats. I record everything. Don't ever forget that. So don't say something stupid around me. Don't type something stupid around me, because I got it already before you can delete it. So don't be an idiot on top of being a liar and a coward. So then we have this other problem. Then I see he's got his nice little family photo with all his family and little children. Imagine that, little children. So let's see. It's their birthdays. It's their birthdays. So, it's their birthdays, and they're bragging it up. We got the picture perfect kids. You know what? I wonder what school your kids go to. Is it a normal public school, homeschooled like Sammy Goofstarhoff? What really amazes me is the fact that these idiots. Oh, fuck, I'm going to give you a great example, actually. Doug Ford. Remember, they tried to steal his car. It was no problem that all the cars were getting stolen. It was no problem that all these crimes were going on. It was no problems that they were breaking in and you got the police telling you to leave your fobs at the door so they could steal the cars. But the second that piece of fat man crap gets his car stolen or attempted to get stolen, all of a sudden he's on the media huffing and puffing real bad. Here's one for you, Fred. I hope those little kids never come across the fucking monsters we came across in our fucking lives. I hope to God that never happens to them. And if they do, it's because of you, you sack of crap. Because you failed to protect not only your own kids and grandkids, you failed to protect all the kids in fucking Ontario because you don't give a shit about them. You only give a shit about your own kids. You don't care about anybody else because you're all going to have them all protected. You're going to have security around them. You're going to, or homeschool them or some bullshit. Because you're Mr. Elite. I got the gold plated pension. Well, Will, you haven't been in office long enough for one yet, but you will. And that's what happens. You get all these people, you play them like a fiddle. The survivors are all fucking wound up already because of this shit. And then you got some piece of excrement such as yourself spewing out this rhetoric, this political rhetoric, which means absolutely nothing. And then you re-victimize them when you don't act like you did with me, or when you just use them as a campaign tool. So these people are reliving their fucking nightmare over and over that they've already relived for X amount of years, and some have kept it quiet so they don't get it fucking, used and abused like you like to do to the victims. Sorry, survivors. And use them as a campaign tool so you can get elected, so you can do even more fucking tyrannical shit by having your cross-eyed soy boy Pierre Polyev doing a suspension of our constitutional rights. So then you can run completely tyrannical and claim we have no rights. That's the problem. Thanks, Kelly. That's the problem. That's the real fucking problem. I would not love to see what you would do if you were in our shoes, either as a survivor or one of your family members were a survivor of these fucking monsters that we were subjected to. And I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want that on my worst enemy. But you have no idea. You should be ashamed of yourself. Ashamed of yourself. Your fat friend Ford says he's got a lot of real estate on his ass. Maybe you should kiss his ass to make him do the right thing for Ontario and the kids in Ontario. Maybe you should kiss his ass to put small little things that we've asked for into the Education Act for private schools. But you won't. You won't. You didn't like the fact that I posted our press conference out of Queen's Park with all the survivors, ones with dead brothers, ones that were beaten and tortured beyond belief, sexually assaulted. You don't care about that. You don't give a damn crap about that. Just keep your money coming in. Keep all the kickbacks you get from whatever deals you make and your friends. Ugh. Fucking absolutely disgusting. Disgusting that you guys even hold office. You shouldn't be holding office. You should be out of office. You don't belong there. Not there at all. And then you ask the question, why? And I see the judges take a lot of heat. I'm not blaming the judges at all. I won't blame the courts at all. This is why you have idiots like well, you're absolutely right, Hashem. You got yeah, thank you, Donna. Exactly. How the fuck do you degenerates sleep at night? That's what I'd like to know. Probably just fine because you got that money coming in and you got your family protected. But this is so these fucking people are, yeah, Hashem with the Trump crap and everything. Yeah, that's ridiculous. And Ford shouldn't be sticking his nose in federal. That's not even his jurisdiction. But you see, they don't care because Ford's got his nose up Carney's ass. And this is a big problem. This is a big problem that we have. So back to what I was saying. I'm not going to shit on the judges, and I'm not even going to shit on our system. Our court system is our court system. These judges are letting people out, but what people, of course, because of my background, I pay attention to what's said in court. As survivors or just the average person who, don't know anything about law or our laws, because you'd be amazed on how many people don't. Um, a judge will say the reasoning for their ruling, and Jonathan Jeffrey Alstead, I'll use that. Remember, the Crown was asking 6 years, and the judge gave him 5. Why? This is key, and this is what we all need to understand. And I'm trying to make you understand in the most easiest, direct way that I can explain it. The judge said that she couldn't make them all consecutive because she was bound by the legislation. Remember that, people who were there? Her hands were bound by the legislation. So here's a real easy question. It's not a trick question, people, at all. Who creates the legislation? No, I'll wait for somebody in the chat there in the comments. Who creates the legislation? I'll have a sip of beer while I'm waiting. Come on, who does it? Hashem, care to take a stab at it? Okay, I'll tell you. The politicians, this is why it's called the Legislative Assembly. This is why it's Parliament. This is where legislation is. Legislation is laws. Correct, Hashem. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You're so right. It's right there, people. Interpret, enforce the legislation. So politicians create it. Correct, Hashem. 100%. Bam. So you got Fred Davies, Polyev, and the rest of the crybaby crew who created this fucking mess, now going to get victims of the mess they created to turn into a fucking campaign tool for them so they can get back elected, so they can make more legislation that will use and abuse Canadians, such as suspending our Constitution, our Charter of Rights. You can't make this shit up, people. I spent 10 years in Queen's Park when my friend was an MPP. And the shit that I saw on there, ridiculous. And how I seen these politicians, not my friend, but all the other parties, all of them, NDP, PC, you name it, all of them, talking shit about the people. You would not believe how and what they think of us. I helped out Fat Ford. I helped out Patrick Brown when he became the leader of the PC party. The OLA helped him out. It's just so bad. This is where I learned the political game that they play. Use the people, create a big problem, and they're all looking at their pocketbooks. And when they make any type of law, they're calling us a bunch of names. Okay, so when they're sitting there, and they can do this, by the way, they can't even get sued for libel as long as they're inside the legislature. So as long as they're inside there and comments are made in there, they cannot be sued. they benefit from immunity. So this is the insanity of it all. You have the politicians who have now created this pedophile problem that we have in Niagara and straight across the country. And this lies solely not on Ford, because that cash bail shit Ford said has no weight, can't be enforced, no jurisdiction. That's federal jurisdiction again, something he doesn't have. That's a criminal code, and only the criminal code is going to go by those guidelines. Now, if he wants to do it in provincial offenses, he can do it in provincial offenses, but not criminal. That's federal. So, Pierre and his party over the years, because Pierre is a massive, massive career politician for a very long time. And he's been through all of it. All of it. They wrote, along with the other parties, the legislation that leads us to the pedophiles getting free, that leads us to the registries not being public, so we don't know who is where beside us, so that judges' hands are bound by the legislation that the politicians wrote, and they must abide by them. And the way I look at it is this way. At least that fucktard Alstead pedo piece of garbage got 5 years instead of nothing. And instead of the judge not adhering to the legislative authority, the law that our politicians have written when it comes to this, and then there would have been an appeal, and that piece of garbage would have went free with nothing. So thank you to the judge who sentenced him. It's not nearly as much as any of the survivors wanted for him, but or any other pedophile. I'm not going to just target one, all of them. But this is the legislative authority that binds the hands of judges. And other rulings too, because there are amendments made or new laws born into it through, like, say, the Supreme Court of Canada and stuff. But point being, it's the government who ties the judges' hands. It's the government who they're binding their hands or tying their hands on them. So, and then it's the government again at the municipality for the Niagara Regional Police who tell them, like they did during COVID, don't arrest anybody, just serious major crimes such as murder. I had so many women reach out to me about being raped that the NRP would not bother to lay charges, even when they had done rape kits and they tested positive at the hospital right after it happened, and they still wouldn't lay charge. But to me, that doesn't shock me. I've sued them a couple of times. They're pieces of garbage. They were involved with Robert Land Academy, returning the kids, not doing investigations. We've seen top detectives such as Sinclair, high-ranking detectives who were alleged abusers at the academy. I hate that word alleged. I don't want to use that because, no, I've talked to too many people, and when you have too many people that he done these things to, have fun with that. So this is a big problem. A big problem. We got Giovannini. I don't know if he still is, but he was Thorold's head of fire services. He's the one who broke the legs of the student, pled guilty. You know, he's convicted. But look, he's got a nice little cushy job. Where's the kid now that's grown up with who had his legs broken? How's his life doing? These are the kind of fucking monsters we had at that school. These are the kind of monsters that get into government jobs. These are the kind of monsters that are writing the laws for our society that control and bind the hands of judges. I really need you all to understand this and who is really the problem, and then turn around and try to make you do petitions. You know what about e-petitions? They are not legitimate petitions, just so you all know that. If you go to an e-petition, scroll all the way down to the bottom, read the disclaimer. There's only one real petition, and that's a paper petition. They're all handwritten, and you bring them in. I've seen petitions with stacks high brought in and ignored. But those are the only ones that are real petitions. And then there's what's called a petition of right. Look into that. If you got the money, you want to pool your money together, you want to get something done, get a petition of right done. The legislature cannot ignore it, and they must do it. Air Canada used a petition of right. And the way it goes, once a petition of right is done, the House Speaker is supposed to say, let right be done, and that's done, that's it. It's not even to be challenged. This is why it's called a petition of right. But nobody knows about petition of rights. No one. I do, but nobody does. You should bring a petition of right. Let's make those registries public. How about we do that? That would be something to get done. And Donna, you're absolutely right. We are in big trouble. When we have the degenerates writing the laws and then trying to get us to get petitions to support them to change the law, that's ridiculous. They created this problem. And remember, they always have the solution. And remember that no crisis go. Got to take advantage of it. Any type of crisis, any one that they can create at any given time, they'll take advantage of to pull the wool over my eyes, your eyes, and everybody else's eyes so they can get at their end goal. What their agenda is, what they want. And they don't give a crap. I've said it once, I'll say it again. They do not give a crap about us. They do not give a crap about your kids. They don't give any crap. Look at Sammy Gooserhoff. He's a MPP for Niagara West. I run in Niagara West during provincial elections against him. And this is the funny thing. Sammy's homeschooled. Imagine that, guys. He's got kids. I bet you he's homeschooled now, his children. So you see, these degenerates, they don't care. They don't care about anybody's kids except their own. And they homeschool them, so they got them safe and sound at home where it's them watching them. Unless they're one of those people themselves. You can never be 100% sure. But they're not going to do anything, and they don't care. Like, I could show you emails. I'll screenshot the emails and I'll send them to you. No, I'll put them up on my Facebook, and we'll put them up. And then you can see what kind of lame-ass bullshit response. Sammy Gooserhoff's the only one who ever responded. And that response means that he cares nothing about children. The very fact that he won't answer my email, which is very specific. Well, Hashem, when you're a little punk and you get elected at 18, you're just a kid, you don't know shit. He's fully indoctrinated by the school system because he took political science the whole time. So he's been polished and groomed and raised to be a politician. So when you're that small and your family's very well situated and a lot of money and large, you're going to have tons of money regardless. They get elected, $200,000+ job a year. They're going to latch on to the first girl they see. They're going to get married. They're going to have kids. And that's it. They'll keep doing what their master tells them to do. So, yeah. He's married. I am pretty sure he's got kids. Yeah. So, and it don't matter if he does or doesn't. But when he does have them, do you think he's going to have any money problems? Yeah, exactly, Donna. Money talks, bullshit walks. But also remember, bullshit always rolls down the hill too. So it runs down the hill. So there's only one way for Sammy to go, and that's down. And hopefully the constituents will wake up and stop backing him and get rid of him, because geez, I was going to say he's useless as two tits on a bull, but even those are useful. So just poop. That riding is so conservative that literally you could put a piece of poop running for the PC party and it would win, or the Conservative Party and it would win. But I'm not knocking the NP for the Federal Conservative Party in that riding. He's a very good man. I can't. I wish I could say that for the rest of them, but I can't. So that's very unfortunate. When my friend was an MPP, actually in the PC party, he was the only MPP that was for the people, literally did things for the people, and his own party would attack him constantly, wouldn't give him, pay no mind to him, wouldn't even get one of his own party members to back his private members bill, the Bob Mackey Act. And they only backed it when it was turned into not a serious private members bill, but a bill in name only, just as a memorial to the late great Bob Mackey, who was a fighter, fighting way before all of this. So, so we're reaching up that hour mark, and I'm just going to leave you with this before I end it. Share this out. Actually, absolutely share this out. I know I ramble a lot and say some stupid shit sometimes, but I hope I've painted a very clear picture on who the root of the problem is with this pedophilia stuff, the Constitution, the attacks on our Constitution and our Charter continuously being on municipal level, on federal level, on provincial level, and above all, the harms that our elected idiots are engaging in, putting our children in harm's way, having pedophiles being hired at schools, convicted pedophiles, murderers, drug dealers, you name it. We had them all. We had them all at Robert Land, and that's 50 years worth. And these galas the PC party would use Robert Land Academy for to pat themselves on the back and stuff, those were supposed to be the annual inspections of the private school to make sure everything's being run right. You know what the requirement for that annual inspection is? The only single thing that the government of Ontario, and still holds true today, that they have to inspect a private school for is one thing and one thing only: to make sure that they're teaching the current school curriculum. That's it. There's nothing about health and safety. There is nothing about living conditions. There's nothing about the torture and beating and you name it that went on and still goes on today at private schools. Nothing to do with that. Even if they were to see it happening, they wouldn't report it. Funny thing is, Beth Millard of the York Regional Police Staff Sergeant, active duty, was on the board of governors with Robert Land Academy, and there was many blind eyes turned away from pedophiles that they chose to just fire them instead of report them to police. Imagine that. Imagine that. And these people have what's called a duty to report, because they don't want to muddy the school's name, because they want that almighty dollar they praise to keep coming in. This is why it's so important that we ask these conditions to be put on at private schools And you have Doug Ford, Paul Calandra, Minister of Education, and Sam Goosterhoff, the MPP for that riding. And they will not do anything to protect your children at private schools. That's unfortunate. Please share this out. I hope you found this useful. And if nothing's useful, at least I hope you found me good looking. Nah, I'm only kidding. It was a line off the Red Green Show. You know, they would say, at least if they can't find you good looking, they can find you handy. But anyways, that's a show for another time. But have a good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, watching. Please share this out.